Alrighty guys, I got the Volkswagen lifted up here. I'm gonna do tie rods on it, complete tie rods. So with tie rods, you have to go to neighborhood auto store. They have this tool. It is a complete or inner tie rod tool. So basically these clamp down on the inner tie rod and you can slide this over it and lock it in, and it allows you to attach a ½ inch to it and get it, and you have to take out the outer tie rod. So what I'm going to do before I remove my outer tie rod, I'm going to mark on the tie rod with a silver Sharpie just right up next to this nut here, this lock nut, and that will at least get me close to what my alignment was before whenever I mark it on the new ones. You want to go at least get it checked alignment wise. I prefer taking it to a machine that has all the fancy technology to properly align it. But to make the job easier, I do recommend that you take your steering here. I'm going to be starting on the left side of the car, so the driver's side of the car. I'm going to turn my wheel all the way to the right, which will take the tie rod and extend it out towards the left, making the nut, the inner tie rod, I guess nut for lack of a better term, easier to reach. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. There we go. And I can go ahead, start taking off this nut down here that holds the outer tie rod in. I'll go ahead and start by wiping it off. I'm going to go ahead and take off my outer tie rod nut. It is a 19 millimeter. I'm going to go ahead and grab a wrench and break this lock nut off. And for the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and stick this back in there so I can get some leverage on this. There we go. Break that off just a little bit. You don't want to run it too far back or else you'll mess up your Sharpie marks. So go ahead and just rotate this off. Oh yeah, look at that, quality tie rods right there. I'm actually replacing my tie rods because the inner tie rod had a bit of play. Yeah, it had a bit of play, so whenever I was gunning it, it would torque steer really bad and it would just be all over the road. And so I figure I might as well replace with my suspension components, do my tie rods, control arms to hold the front more steady, and then get a proper alignment, maybe do a little bit of toe in, that way it doesn't go crazy on the road. Next step is to take off this boot right here. You're just gonna get I usually just use a flathead screwdriver, just get it in there and pry it around a little bit. You can get some needle nose pliers, but you just work that off and then you work the inner one off. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a flathead and do that. Also, these little guys, these clamps that you see that just have this pinch spot right here, they can be a little bit difficult to deal with. I've found that if you see this little spot right here that actually clips into this, it's easier if you just start to work this open here at the top and then just kind of pry your way down. Just kind of work the screwdriver down until you get to where you can just pop it up. I've also had luck sometimes just prying from this side, just going ahead and breaking that off. There we go. So I popped out this outer one. It's free up now, but this inner one's being obnoxious. It's still held down. I guess it must have just formed. So I went ahead and just grabbed a razor blade. There we go. Now that I have this thing freed up, I can get the tool on it and go ahead and take it loose. This one for my Jetta, it's a 33.6. All right, I got it secured in. We're going to go ahead and slip it on. Nice. There we go. Alrighty, inner tie rod is out. This is the new tie rod, inner, and you can see this knuckle. I can't even turn it. I can't even move it right now. It's so locked into place and new. And this old one, I could, you know, with one hand just bend it back and forth. So these were a little bit worn. They're not bad technically. They're worn in, but I'm gonna go ahead and mark down my new spots and get her going. Alright, I got my torque wrench. The inner tie rod to rack is 55 foot-pounds on my 2003 Jetta. So I'm gonna go ahead and set her to 55 foot-pounds and get her torque down. There it is. Alright, got it tightened down to 55 foot-pounds. That was more difficult than I wanted it to be. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten down my new outer tie rod end. I'd say about there. Close enough. Oh, jumped the gun. So I'm having just a little bit of trouble getting the boot all the way on the inner side to cover the steering rack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring my steering back to center lock. Center out the steering, get the tie rod closer to the steering rack. There we go. That should be good. Alrighty, that took way longer than it was supposed to, but that's no biggie. Now I'm just gonna put on this front clamp right here, and then my lock nut goes on, and then the tie rod screws on. And that's done. Move over to the next side. Alrighty, now I moved over to the other side, and it's just the same process again. Alrighty, all finished up. Fairly easy job. The tools you'll need is for this one a 7/8 inch wrench to get this nut off. You want to go to AutoZone or O'Reilly's to pick up this specific tool. It is a inner tie rod tool, and then you should just need a 19mm for this nut right here for the outer tie rod. You can just do your outer tie rods if you want to, but that should about wrap this one up. Feel free to leave a comment. If you have any questions, like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later.